the most the most important for today is we have supply. We have supply, so there is no need to cause panic among our people. We are calling each oil company every day to monitor their supply. What is unpredictable is the hoarding part. Kung mag-hoard ang iba, affected yung iba, especially our public utility vehicles kasi sila araw-araw sila nagpapagasolina eh. So we need to curtail the hoarding and not cause more panic to our people. At the same time, the Philippine government is continuing discussions with other countries and suppliers. We have met with the oil companies, encouraging them to pursue their contracts and to explore more suppliers. PNOC, Mother and PNOC EC have been tasked also to search for alternative suppliers. Continuous yan. Even if we get supply today, we don't know what's happening with the rest of the world. So every day, every week, every month, it will be always tight. Kasi why? It's not because we lack supply today, but we need to make sure that in the future, we don't, in the next few weeks, baka kasi mag-tighten, mag-close yung ibang countries, or baka mag-worsen yung gera. So the direct and indirect effect of to us is the supply. Kaya kailangan talaga continuous yung DOE in monitoring, and the oil companies continuous yung paghanap nila ng more supplies to come into the country. But we also have to remember that this is a global reality. Many countries are starting to close for exports. So DOE together with DFA are working hard to make sure that the current contracts of our oil companies are followed. Kasi meron na silang mga kontrata niyan sa ibang companies, sa ibang countries. And hopefully they still follow that. And we will still get our deliveries on schedule. We have scheduled deliveries on April. And DFA is also working hard, working with our ambassadors that are of our supplier countries here in the Philippines, also with our embassies in the countries where our supplies are coming from. So all hands on deck yan. DOE, DFA, even DOF is involved in this. So we just have to make sure that we don't run dry. In response to that, following the President's directive to reduce our fuel and electricity consumption by 10 to 20%, many of our government offices are already following that. Here alone in DOE, because of the directive of the President, the team of Director Patrick on fuel conservation has audited and checked many of 196 entities actually, para lang ma-ensure that they are following and we can give them more advice. So he'll report on that later. And then on the Department of Energy, we've done extreme measures also. Our contribution to the country, our drivers are all trained on fuel efficiency. We've also cut down on our number of hours here, or number of days of work except for Monday because you are here. Cut down our number of days. We are also reviewing all our facilities to make sure that they're energy efficient. We use energy efficient lighting systems, office equipment, tinatanggal ang nakasaksak every night. Fuel-saving practices for government service vehicles. Nagtitrain kami ng drivers, fuel-efficient driving techniques, limiting vehicle use strictly to essential and official travel, utilizing electric vehicles, installing on-site renewable energy systems in government facilities kung feasible siya, and setting air conditioning thermostats to 24 degrees. 24 ba ito dito ngayon? Ayan, compliant kayo. and the work arrangements we also are trying to ensure, and our targeting, I think, will reach 30% savings if we follow all of our plans, no? So, kaya kayo po, baka kung gusto niyo rin makasave, you can use efficient lighting systems, equipment. Wag na munang mag-travel masyado, mag-carpool tayo. Ang tire pressure ng kotse nyo, kailangan i-check palagi. Wag matulog sa kotse na naka-aircon. Kung idle lang naman, labas na lang ang kotse at wag na yung gamitin kasi magastos yan eh. Pati yung aircon ng kotse nyo, kung mababa yan, mas malaking fuel ang nako-consume. So, we're asking the public to also do energy or fuel efficiency. And now I'll announce what is those are our efforts, and I'll expound on that later. But I think you're all waiting for how much is the increase today or tomorrow, correct? I had to say those other things before you lose interest in me. So the price range for this March, March 10 to 16 in this previous week, nag-range siya between 63 to 75 ang gasoline. 71 to 91 ang diesel, tsaka kerosene 85 to 135. Okay. There are discrepancies when we made that announcement kasi depending on where the gas station is. Pag mas malayo yung gas station, mas mahal siya. That's just how it is because there's additional transport, additional insurance, marami pang mga logistics. So for this week, we'll just announce the adjustments para idagdag nyo na lang doon sa last week's price. Kasi iba-iba yung presyo eh. Why is it iba-iba? Kasi ganun talaga yung sistema ng industriya. Sabi ng batas, sa oil deregulation, hindi pwedeng i-control. This is a free market. Hindi pwede i-control ng gobyerno ang presyo. So, what we do is monitoring and then we make sure that they are within the range na hindi naman exorbitant ang presyo at hindi na abuso itong sitwasyon natin ngayon. So the price adjustment for this week has a range. 12.90 pesos to 16.60 pesos ang gas. Sa diesel, 20.40 to 23.90 ang adjustment. This is still almost the same as the previous, no? Mga double digit pa rin tayo. Again, diesel 20.40 to 23.90. So ibig sabihin yan, kung dati 90 ang presyo sa gas station mo, kailangan ang additional niya within 20.40 pesos to 23.90. Okay. Kerosene, 6.90 to 8.90. I don't know if they can flash it in the screen, but that's how the increases will be. So they will adjust, not today, they will adjust tomorrow. The companies, the gas stations will adjust their prices. Again, I'll repeat it. Gasoline, 12.90 to 16.60 pesos. Diesel, 20.40 to 23.90 pesos. Kerosene at 6.90 to 8.90 pesos. On the staggering, kasi masakit kasi ang pag-increase biglaan 20 pesos sa diesel. Masakit yan lalo na sa mga jeepney drivers natin. We have here some of the bigger companies. Shell will increase, will stagger it by 3 days. ano na to na, fixed amount na to, ano. Ito na yung fixed amount. Pwede ko na yung sabihin. Yung fixed amount nila. Yeah. Yeah. Commitment to. Pwede. Ano ba? Sabihin mo na ko. Ay, ayoko. Totoo. So, ano ba? Sabihin mo na sa akin. Alright. So, the total increase lang naman tayo. Alright. Staggering. Okay. Did I say Shell ba? Shell, no? Shell, 3 araw ang staggering niya. So, paunti-unti ang pag-stagger niya. And then, total, 2 days ang pag-stagger niya. Sea oil, 2 days din ang pag-stagger niya. Petron, 3 days. Paunti-unti rin sila. Flying V, 3 days din ang pag-stagger niya. So, tignan nyo na lang yung presyo ng mga gas stations ninyo. And each gas station has different prices, has different levels of increases also. You just add the adjustments and you'll see the staggering na pa konti-konti. Yun yung commitment nila. And all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies, 5 lang ba? 5 companies have committed to the staggering, and the Office of Director Rino is still working on the other companies kasi we're waiting for their submissions today. So far, only Total, Shell, Sea Oil, Petron, and Flying V has committed to stagger. We're waiting for the other companies to submit. Alas 12 yata yung deadline dapat na. Alright? Ongoing pa yung pag-collate ng data. But continuing on that, all companies have committed to continue their discounts, especially to PUVs. Sino may pinakamagandang discount dito? Sino? Pakita ko na lang sa inyo. Tignan nyo na lang, no? Who has the best offer. Because we have to commend those oil companies. Kung mas mababa yung presyo, nagsa-stagger siya at nabibigay pa ng malaking discount. I haven't gone through the whole list, so I'm not sure who has the best offer as of this week. We're announcing this today, and I'm sure many will go get gas today. But Yusek Wimpy is here. He's leading the team on enforcement. Absolutely walang hoarding. We have activated our teams with working together with the LGUs, with the Philippine National Police, with NPC, National Power Corporation, and the electric co-ops. Hoarding distorts the market. Hindi yan fair kasi sa iba. Okay lang ka na may pera ka pang bili pang hoard. Pero yung iba na day-to-day ang pangangailangan, they cannot afford to do that. And may perwisyo pa natin yung public transportation natin. So we are giving out guidelines, stronger guidelines to all our enforcement group para i-monitor na ang hoarding bawal talaga. It is not good for our economy. It's not good for our fellow Filipinos na nagpa-public transport. At hindi rin po maganda yan para sa mga PUV drivers natin, sa mga magsasaka natin, sa fisher folks natin. Kasi sila talaga day-to-day ang pangangailangan nila. Kasi yun lang naman ma-afford nilang bilhin to store. Lastly, on the electricity side, stable po tayo sa electricity. We are not dependent on petroleum, on electricity. We are dependent on coal, we are dependent on renewable energy, and on gas. Um, ang coal po, steady, nag-contact na tayo sa main supplier natin with Indonesia, and we're working with them trying to make sure that we have steady. And kahit hindi steady yan, meron po tayong malalaking minahan po dito sa Pilipinas. On renewable, we are pushing more renewable projects to finish early para to make sure that steady yung supply natin. Maraming ngayong next month pa or in end of the year pa sila mag-connect. We are helping them to connect now within the next 60 days. Ang coal naman po, okay na yun. Ang gas po, nakakatuwa kasi dahil po may gas tayo, nakokontrol natin yung presyo ng gas. Our gas, the Filipino gas of Malampaya is 1/3 cheaper. No? Times 3 yung international na gas. Sa atin po, mas mura pa rin. So, nakakatulong po yan pag-maintain ng ating presyo. So, for that on electricity, it's petroleum supply is not the biggest issue. No? It's more on our transportation. Kaya, once again po, wag lang tayo mag-hoarding. Report to ECOV or to our LGUs kung may hoarding po para mapatigil natin. This cannot be done alone by DOE or DOE with all the agencies. We need the public also to support para po lahat tayo safe, no? Lahat tayo secure, energy secure tayo. In closing po, ulitin ko po, we do have supply. As DOE lang, what concerns me most is the war in Middle East. Because the longer it takes, di mo alam kung ano mangyayari. Kung sa presyo, aakyat siya. Pero yung supply natin, kailangan palaging meron. Trabaho po namin yan. Ngayon po, talaga po, meron po kaming mga kinakausap na countries and companies. Pero para po every month kasi hindi natin alam or every week hindi natin alam mangyayari. So, ang appeal lang po ng DOE is let's all help each other. The more we save on fuel, the more secure we are. Di naman tayo nagkukulang ngayon, di naman tayo magkukulang next week, and I'm sure hindi naman tayo magkukulang sa April. Pero para sigurado tayo, kasi kailangan talaga, let's not wait for any problems. We have to fix it now and let's all help each other. Let's save on fuel. Kung pwede lang po na ang biyahe po natin malimit natin sa kailangan lang, let's do energy efficient driving. That will help the country. Ambag-ambag lang po ang buong bansa. Kasi po, kailangan po ngayon po, dahil hindi pa tayo independent po sa fuel supply, we still have to make sure that we get imported diesel, gas, and kerosene. It's all about how we use our fuel. And ang main po sa amin is that we want to make sure that you can still travel, you can still ride the jeepney, buses, you can go from one place to another. But let's be wise on how we use fuel. So, for that po, maraming salamat po sa inyong attention. And I would like to on the last part po is that we have already informed the Department of Agriculture and the DOTR on umabot na po tayo sa $80 per barrel. So I think even today, tomorrow, the whole week po, even last week pa, mini-meeting na po paano i-roll out po ang mga subsidy. I don't have information here because that is being handled by our other agencies, but we are doing they're planning kung paano roll out, kailan, magkano. So I think within today or tomorrow, they will announce it anyway. So basta na-trigger na po ng DOE and we've informed them already. So before we proceed to the questions lang, I'd like, sino ba yung magsasalita? Whips, you want to say something before they ask questions?
Yeah. As we all know, these are extraordinary times. That's why we're also bringing out more information. Despite the oil deregulation law, we're providing more information so that we will be able to have teamwork on how to discipline ourselves, including that of the retail stations. So doon po sa eGov portal natin, there were 646 reports. The pending review is 0. Resolved is 4, open is 584, and closed is 558. Ito po yung trend ng pagre-report sa eGov PH. No? Noong March 9, marami yung report, 344. Tapos bababa siya from sa March 10, naging 190. March 11, 70. March 12, 24. March 13, 11 as of 4 p.m. So, inulit lang po natin, the eGov portal is there so that we will be able to know kung ano yung mga nangyayari on the ground, if there are complaints and observations. Now, if there are observations that we see, again, the show cause orders are there so that the potential violator or yung sinususpetsa natin nagva-violate will have sufficient time to provide us under oath and in writing or what are the reasons for example, the price increase. So dahil po doon, sinisiguro natin na you have to give us, the Department of Energy, the right information. Ulitin ko, under oath and in writing. These have legal consequences. So as I have mentioned before, we are looking closely at the certificates of compliance of the gasoline stations. Now, why are we talking to the Philippine National Police, to the local chief executives, and why are we expanding the assistance of the employees from the electric cooperatives and the National Power Corporation? We want the oil companies, the retail outlets, to be assured na maraming titingin at maraming tutulong. Because the most important thing is how do we keep the flow of supply all over the country. There are 14,000 plus retail outlets that we want to operate on a normal basis. Ibig sabihin normal, meron silang supply at kung kinukulang ng supply, nalalaman ng central office, nalalaman ng field office so that the necessary assistance will be given, whether it's truck ban, whether it's prioritization in toll areas, whether it's prioritization in the ports. We have to know. We also have to know what are the pricing points and whether or not these are reasonable. Rationable ba yung pagtaas or yung pagbaba ng kanilang mga presyo? Kasi at the end of the day, we want them to remain open. Again, we have to make sure na continuous yung flow ng supply all over the country. So, yung sinasabing enforcement does not necessarily mean na ipagpapasara lang siya ng gasolinahan, but it also has to make sure na yung mga assistance na kailangan ng gasolinahan will be there, and there will be multiple validations of pieces of information tulad ng sapat ba yung supply, tama ba yung pag-akyat ng presyo, and so on. Yung monitoring po natin ng presyo, binabangga po natin yan sa mga reports ng mga bulk purchases ng mga malalaking oil companies dito sa loob ng Department of Energy to determine the reasonableness of the pricing based on the directives of the President to avoid hoarding, profiteering, and similar instances because these are extraordinary times. So, yun lang po yung gusto naming ma-report sa atin. Have we talked to the Philippine National Police? Yes, there was an online meeting headed by General Peñones. He is the Director for Operations of the assigned by Chief PNP Nartates. So it was an online meeting. 1,000, more than 1,000 participants were there, so that we can have a common understanding on how we will treat retail outlets. Ibig sabihin, kung merong retail outlet sa ating area of jurisdiction, we have to know them, they have to know us. In knowing them and knowing us, we introduce ourselves. We make sure that we have a partnership and we identify sinong maaasahan, sinong nangangailangan ng tulong. Para pag nagkaroon tayo ng mga instructions, madali siyang maipapatupad. Also, the support of the electric cooperatives are there because at the end of the day, connected po lahat ng energy utilization, electricity, and the use of petroleum products sa energy system natin. So there are others who are already shifting to electric vehicles. There are also others who are already shifting to electric cooking. So that's the good thing about 2026 versus 1972 and 1973. So we have better options now. We are wiser, and we should be wiser and remain disciplined as mentioned by the Secretary. That's all for me, Madam Secretary.
Right? Any questions? Ba, una ka mag-raise hand. Excited ka. Go ahead, go ahead.
Ma'am Briggs Lelis from Philippine Star. Ma'am, Iran claims that oil could reach $200 per barrel as the war persists. Ma'am, if this happens, ano pong nakalatag na proactive plan ng government? And ma'am, second, sabi niyo po, hindi tayo mauubusan ng supply ng April. Ma'am, what's driving the optimism? Thank you.
Our inventory, we have naman. We closely monitor oil companies, even our generation companies that are using diesel. In fact, some of them have 2 months supply pa nga even longer. So we have several measures. Is it true that it will reach 200? I don't know. Anong sabi mo, Sandy? Only God knows. All right. If it reaches 200, it's 200. No? That means fuel will be more expensive. That means you have to plan your fuel consumption. The expensive, kung mahal yung diesel, di dapat i-control natin yung expense natin sa fuel. What is more important is we do have fuel, enough for everyone, and we do. What are we planning to do? First of all, we are trying to secure our electricity. Kailangan may power tayo. Because although 3% lang yung diesel sa ating power, it still has an impact. It has an impact on the price. So we are all working, all the agencies of DOE, as well as all our bureaus are working to find ways to make sure na hindi hindi katugma ng increase sa diesel, yung pag-increase sa electricity. And we're planning that out already. Meron na kaming design on how to do that as a temporary measure para hindi po affected, especially Meralco franchise area. So we're working on that. On the other hand, what's the impact on the price on fuel? Our role here is to make sure that we have enough fuel and monitor the oil companies that there's no abuse. So continuous po yan. And then the supply, we have tasked all the oil companies to ensure that all their contracts are still being followed by their suppliers. PNOC is tasked to find alternative suppliers, yung hindi pinupuntahan ng ating mga oil companies. So we have control on the supply, we have control on the power. The price is not really something that the Philippines, even the government, can control because we are so dependent on importation. Kayo na mag-pili.
po, ma'am. Gabby Galang of Manila Bulletin. Yesterday, you met with the Department of Finance. Can you explain to us how it has been? And are we going to shift to daily adjustment like what the US is doing despite the oil deregulation
What's
law?
DOE?
DOF.
DOF. Um, we actually met with DOF and the oil companies also all together because we wanted to see how how the supply is going, and you have to understand that their business used to pay for $60 per barrel. With a premium of around 5 pesos and transportation and insurance. Now it's more than double. Hindi lang po yan yung presyo ng gasolina per barrel nag-increase. Lahat po ng mga extras na binabayaran mo para mag-deliver sila dito, the way we used to do it before, yun naging sobrang mahal talaga. Kaya pag nakita nyo, hindi na nga siya commensurate sa increase ng MOPS. No? So, we were checking kung kailangan nila ng credit facility, kung ano kailangan nila sa gobyerno as a policy to make it easier for them to lock in some orders or to bring in some supplies. So we talked about ideas on importation, kung paano ba ma-facilitate ang pangangailangan nila in this period lang naman, no? Para lang ma-ease up lang ang mga constraints on the importation of fuel. So, it's a whole of government approach. May mga diniscuss din kami na policies ng DOE na makakatulong kung ma-issue namin. And that's under discussion as of today. And they had proposals to DOF also.
So how about po dun sa procurement of supply? As you mentioned, PNOC will be managing that. How will this be addressed with the oil companies? Bibigyan po ba nila ng supply directly ang companies, or how would this go?
Everything can go simultaneously. The oil companies can get their own supply, or the oil companies can work with PNOC to get supply, or PNOC itself can get supplied by itself. So we're open and we're designing all arrangements like that. Kung anong feasible, easier for us to lock in the orders, we're open to all. So we met with the oil companies to assist them, to help them if they need more government intervention in some of the supplies that they have ordered, or government intervention in terms of financing also.
Last question for me. How is the biofuel blend adjustment going so far amid the risks of price increase?
On the biofuel, it is still the same rules that we have to adopt, whatever is the guidelines of DOE and under the Biofuels Act. We are, the current proposal in Congress is to allow importation, especially in the times like this, especially in times if the local production is more expensive than the imported, kasi para makakatulong din yan sa pagbaba ng presyo. So we're waiting for that law. And the blend, we haven't touched on the blend actually. Kung ano yung minimum requirement ng batas, that has to be complied. Or if there is enough supply in the market, some of our companies can even increase their blend. No? But that's their option as of now. Even our diesel power plants can also use biofuels. So many advantages in bringing in more biofuels.
I'm Cliff Benzon from Bloomberg. You mentioned a while ago that many countries are starting to close or restrict exports. Is the Philippines affected, and to what extent are we affected?
Like all countries, Philippines is affected because some of our supplier countries are those countries. I'm not sure who announced already. It's like Thailand, for example, is one supplier. But we're also approaching, doing a government-to-government approach for that. So many are, China, for example, also. So many are affected, and that is why we have tasked PNOC together with the FA para to approach these countries because we have good relations with these countries also, and they have always been our traditional suppliers. So we're working on that. So, but the effect is there.
So we've approached Thailand, ma'am, and which country po?
Okay, all of our suppliers are the same ones that we are approaching, whether they closed or did not close.
Okay.
So, who are our suppliers? South Korea, China, Thailand, Singapore, Japan, tama ba? And some others. And we're also contacting more than that. But yes, we're approaching them kasi alam ko, like Singapore hasn't closed, China has closed. So there are others na hindi na close, and there are also others that are not our usual suppliers that are willing to sell to us.
And then, ma'am, is there a plan to import oil from Russia? And my second question, and my last one, the president 2 weeks ago said we still have 50 to 60 day worth of supply. How about now? What's the update?
So you have to deduct the number of days since he pronounced that. So he announced that 2 weeks ago. Yes, so minus 14. Hindi naman. Not more than that because there has been no, it's more than minus 14. We have enough naman because most of our gas stations are already stocked and most of our diesel power plants have enough already. Nandun na sa kanila So hindi pa nabibilang 'yon. So kung ano kailangan ng mga diesel power plants and some of our industries, they already have stocks there for a few months. Ang ano lang to is on the transportation side talaga, na? Russia. Russia basically is a crude exporting country, crude oil. And we have one refinery here, Petron Refinery, and it has been the U.S. has already allowed for Russia supply. So we're waiting for that on what is the progress and talks on procuring from Russia. Hinihintay lang kung ano yung response as of now. But we have already done the work also. Yes, the supplier. This has because the U.S. has allowed us despite of the embargo.
Ed, next please.
Hello. Hi ma'am. Some clarifications lang po. Ed Salting po from the Manila Times po. With regards, some clarification lang. With regards po dun sa 5 mentioned po, like how will the staggering of the prices or will be implemented by these companies po?
So yung staggering, it will be done in several variations of days as well as amounts. For example, example lang to one company will increase ang kalahati ng allowed increase, no, ng additional 50% of that they will increase tomorrow, and then the 2 succeeding days 25% and 25%. I'm just clearing it sa legal kasi kung pwede ko to i-divulge to everyone, But you'll know it anyway when they announce their prices. But I'm just clearing it. But it has variations kasi. Like for example, there's one company that will increase substantially tomorrow more than 50%, mga 75%, tapos 25% na lang sa huli. So they're different, and I was actually about to announce the per company, but our legal said we have to clear it with the companies first. But I think this is our public information eventually because the companies will announce their prices anyway. Thank you.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Joanne Villanueva. Ma'am, may we have an update on the monitoring on government offices and what will be slapped? Will they be slapped with any penalties because of that?
On the monitoring of energy efficiency practices of our government offices, I don't think DOE has the authority to slap any penalty on them, but we are just trying to ensure that they follow the directive of the President, and the Office of Director Patrick has been hard at work trying to go to all these offices. Director Patrick, can you expound na lang?
Yeah, in terms of yung pagdating naman po dun sa compliance ng ating mga agencies, karamihan po, almost 90% yung nakita natin, sumusunod na dun sa direktiba. Kung pagbabasihan po natin yung mga natipid na, just going by the agencies that the Secretary mentioned, close to 200 agencies that have been inspected, the shift to work from home, for example, we've seen savings increase beyond the 10%. We'll be providing a regular update to the Office of the President on the progress, but we can confirm pag nag-shift po ang ating mga ahensya sa work from home, compressed work week, at in-observe po yung mga practices, nakita na po natin kaya po mag-generate more than 10%. And I think the target of the directive under Memorandum Circular 114 is closer to 20%.
Good afternoon po. Hello. EJ Makababad po from Philippine Star. Hello, ma'am. Can we get an update lang po kung ano na yung action taken sa mga gas stations na na-issuean ng show cause orders last week? And ilan po ba yung show cause orders na na-issuean based sa new figures na nirelease niyo po today? Ano na po nangyari sa mga gas stations niyan?
So, all of them are in the legal. Most of them asked for an extension to attach the pieces of evidence to substantiate their claim and the pricing. Most of it is pricing. Now, pricing is a bit tricky because we have to examine the receipts, we have to examine the vouchers and the dates on when they were purchased. So, nandoon siya and the reasonableness of the replacement cost. So, nandun talaga tayo sa hoarding ang mas strong na ground, because dito sa pricing issues, it's whether or not they are providing us the right information under oath. So yun yung mas issue doon.
And may mga figures po ba kayo ng mga gas stations na walang supply? And meron po bang crime kapag yung gas station pilit niyang tinitipid yung supply, hindi nagbebenta, then tsaka na lang i-release kapag nagtaas na ng presyo? Is just for the public's guidance.
Yung mga reported last 2 weeks na pinuntahan, most of them have run out cases. So, ang solution lang naman dun ay yung padating na replenishment, which is on a daily basis naman ginagawa. Dahil nga lang dun sa mga pila, no, admittedly, yung mga nauunang naubusan ay yung may mababang price. At doon mo makikita na yung katabi niyang mahal ang price, walang nakapila. So, ultimately, lahat naman to na check namin at lahat ang reason is padating na yung mga supply. So, on the second week, meaning last week, wala na hong kaming gaanong na observe na mga complaint about run out. So, nakapag-adjust naman ng mga gasoline stations. As to the question kung ipipenalize sila, I think justified naman ho yung pag-run out kasi pinilahan naman. At yung reason na ginagawa nila, usually yung replenishment on a daily basis, for example, would be acceptable sa case na mentioned yung reason na yun.
There's a question here.
Good afternoon. My name is Barnaby Lo from Al Jazeera. Sorry. Medyo mabigat. Okay, yes, there. Okay. Di okay lang po. May hawak kasi akong notebook kanina. Yes, okay. I have a few questions. I hope you don't mind. So on the suspension of fuel excise taxes, I know that's the job of Congress. But if we expect the House of Representatives to pass the bill, giving the President emergency powers to either reduce or suspend excise taxes on fuel, what sort of timeline are we looking at here? How soon can this be implemented? And some groups are saying that, you know, this measure has come too late or is too slow, and that they're asking for a suspension as well of value-added taxes. So how big of an impact do you think this would have on reducing or cushioning the impact for motorists?
Well, this is the fastest that Congress can do because there is a process in passing a law. For you to remove taxes, whether it's VAT or excise tax, it has to go through our legislative process. And there are, and that's how democracy works. So they actually finish this. If they do finish it, they'll finish it this week, and that's a matter of less than 2 weeks after the president announced it. Why is it excise and VAT? That's a congressional decision. That's the wisdom of that's their decision on what laws to pass. The issue on VAT, I think it's more complicated because VAT has several stages. It's either you VAT upon importation, you VAT at pump price, but there are so many factors in between because that's the value-added tax. You have a value added at every phase. So it might end up more expensive if we don't do it properly. Second is when will the impact be felt by the consumers? It will take time because there is a process indicated in the amendment. But I think the consideration of the government right now, where is the biggest impact? It's on public transportation. So if it's public transportation and those that are using fuel for their livelihood, that's where the first concentration of the ayuda is. That's why the law says PUVs, farmers, and fisher folks. That's been triggered, and hopefully they can roll it out soon enough. I think they've been preparing for this already. And because this is with the there will be other ayudas or assistance that they will be giving out to not only for PUVs, and farmers, but also for others that are directly or indirectly affected. Now, when will the excise tax suspension or reduction happen? The process is there has to be a recommendation with DBCC, if I'm not mistaken, under DBM Bureau, and they have to assess really the impact on the price and on the economy and how much the exemption, the reduction will be.
So it's not immediate after
No,
the
it's not
Congress?
immediate because the proposal was authorized the president upon recommendation of the Bureau. So it's not automatic. Just in another perspective though, the first jump was 20 pesos. This following week is 20 pesos. That's 40 pesos. If there's a reduction, whether it's 2 pesos of excise or even 6 pesos for excise tax, it's not as big of an impact compared to what is the jump already. Okay. So that's why the government is also doing the focus on sectors distance rather than control because the price is going up and up out of control of government. The best that the government is doing now is caution the impact on those sectors that are really dependent or whose livelihoods are dependent on the price of diesel.
And on electricity, you mentioned that diesel is only 3% of our mix, but I understand that this is mostly for off-grid communities. And of course, we are entering the summer season. There's, traditionally always more energy consumption, March, April, May. Do we see or do we foresee rotational brownouts in these areas and even in other areas of the Philippines where, schools, of course, will be using more fans, etc.,
I have to, if there is ever any curtailment, blackouts in off-grid areas, it is not because of lack of supply. Because we have checked over the weekend also and few days already.
That's happening. Kasi kinatatakot pa po ng ilan na may range anxiety nga ba, yung paggamit ng EV. So, what are your thoughts on this po?
I don't think we ever stopped campaigning for electric vehicles because we do believe there is already a law, we have several policies, and we've been pushing for EV ever since. And I think this highlights the importance of that also and the significance because EV, before the Middle East war, combustible, kung nagdi-diesel ka, 5 pesos per kilometer ka. Pag hybrid ka, 3 pesos. Pag, tama ba? 3.50. Pag full EV ka, magkano? 1 peso and 71 centavos. So really, what we have seen is price point. Talagang efficient yung EV before the Middle East war. And now we have even increased price na. We don't have the computations yet. But it'll be way more than 5 pesos. So EV is really something that's, for the price, mas magaan siya. And also for the environment, it's better. And for our energy security, it's also better.
Okay po.
Go ahead, Wimpy.
Just to add on the EV, on the anxiety kung gaano kalayo siya pwedeng maabot. Nandun po siya sa manual ng electric vehicle. However, you have to take note that kung sinabi niya at a full charge, kaya niyang magbiyahe ng 150 kilometers. Ang computation talaga nun is yung hindi ka rabbit hopping na umarangkada ng sasakyan. No? So, hindi siya talaga 150. Usually, meron siyang sport, meron siyang drive, at saka meron siyang eco mode. So, usually yung nakalagay sa manual, nasa eco mode siya. Na ganun yung matatakbo niya. So, we have to estimate also kung saan siya pupunta at saan ka mag-charge. So, yun lang yung sa EV. But it's really, pwedeng sa bahay yung mga EVs. Usually sa motorcycles, it's plugged in sa 240 volts na socket. Pwede rin maglagay ng charging sa bahay. So, kasama sa package minsan ng mga electric vehicle sellers. And for those doing disaster response, the best is plug-in hybrid. Because if it's only hybrid, you also rely on petroleum products only. But if it's plug-in, pwede kang mag-charge through the electric facility. So, yun yung pinaka malakas for disaster response, PHEV.
Okay po, thank you. Then last question po, circling back po to what was mentioned na forecasted na $200 per barrel, posibleng pumatak nga yung price of fuel. Are we saying that our diesel prices could also reach 105 and above pesos po because of this?
Again, these are speculations. That's why I don't really want to, I'm not going to say that it will happen or it will not happen because I really do not know. It's the international market that dictates. But what are the factors that determine the price? So many things. The cost of insurance, cost of transportation. But one major factor that affects the price is the war. And if we don't know what's going to happen in the war, and I don't think they know also, I I cannot speculate on what the level of the price will be. I don't want to confirm or deny or rebut on that, kasi that will just be speculative on my part, and we don't need more speculation currently.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Here. Nestor Corrales from Reuters. Secretary, more on the Russia importation. So what potential volume is the Philippines looking to import from Russia, and which Russian entities or agencies has the Philippines approached?
On the Russian importation, the notice was merely that they are allowing at a certain period only. If the Philippines has approached any company, I have to ask PNOC what companies they have sent out any letters to or emails. But I do believe when we discussed this morning, there are plans to do so. But I'm not sure what companies yet, because I don't want to announce and nothing happens. So there are all the efforts move on that, and also I think the oil companies are also trying to contact some of the. It's either, I'm not sure if they're contacting the government or government entities or private companies in Russia. But I do believe, as I've heard over the weekend, that there are companies and even PNOC that are interested in contacting them. But as the government by itself, we're quite conscious of the geopolitical situation. So we're quite careful with that. But it is the companies that are allowed already to make contact.
Okay. Secretary, just on China's export ban on fuel, so how much of diesel needs we import from China? Like how much of the Philippines diesel we imported like last year?
We can give you the historical lang kung how much we get from China, if that's okay. Because the rest, forward-looking, I'm not sure what the state will be. Rino can explain that.
For example, for last year, year to date, September of last year, we imported around 1.8 billion liters of diesel, and that's around 28% of the industry demand.
From China. But that's why there has to be a government-to-government talks, and I think that's progressing also. So some countries have announced that they are banning exports, but some countries allow also exemptions to that. After the increase? Okay. I'll give you an example lang. Example lang. This, I have to be clear in this. Not all gas stations have the same prices. So, for example, ang gas station mo, nagbebenta last week ng gasolina ng 75 pesos. Posible yan na yung presyo niya magiging 76 pesos. Or pwede din siyang umabot ng mga 90.
Ano yung range? 76 to 90?
O mga ganun, 76 to 91. For example lang yan. Pero, halimbawa, kung last week, ang gasolina ng gas station mo is 64, iba-iba rin yung range niya. Basta, yung range ng increase, ang hirap nito explain, is between 12.90 to 16.60. Kasi pag iba yung presyo mo last week, iba rin yung presyo mo this week. Diesel, the same. Ang dapat i-increase nila is between 20 to 40, maximum of 23.90. So, halimbawa, kung 70 ang benta mo last week, Dagdagan mo ng pinaka-maximum na adjustment, 23 pesos, o 24, lagay na natin, magiging 94 na siya.
May 100 peso na ba na diesel sa market for this week?
Posible siya.
100 over 100.
Yes, posible na siya. Actually, estimate namin mga 115 possible umabot. Depending. So there's a range. Depende kasi sa last week mo na presyo.
What is the range of it for diesel? Sorry, just to be accurate.
For the increase ng Alvin, so ang last week mo na presyo, pwede mo siyang dagdagan between 20.40 pesos to 23.90 pesos.
Yung actual price po, ano na yung magiging price range ng diesel for this week?
Misleading kasi yung actual price na sasabihin ko. Kasi, depende kasi sa gas station. May mga gas stations na nagbenta last week ng diesel na 70 lang. Meron ding nagbenta ng 90. So, halimbawa, kung 70 ka last week, ang pinakamataas mo na ma-charge na yan would be 94 pesos. Pero kung nagbenta ka ng 90 last week, posible kang mag-charge ng 90 plus 24, 114. Diba?
So yung range is 94 to 114. Yung range lang, yung range, the price range.
Kasi may 70 kasi dati.
Tama ba?
Pwede silang magbenta mga 90 din for this week.
To 114?
Mga more or less, yeah.
Ang diesel. One last. Bakit hindi po pwedeng sabihin yung stagger? Kasi last week, binanggit naman din yung Secretary, di ba? As a form of public service. Kasi baka magkagulatan po.
I agree. That's what I also insist.
Bakit hindi po pwedeng banggitin? Kung nabanggit naman siya last week.
There are concerns from the industry also, but we're checking. Just give me time lang to clear it with our legal if it's okay. So kasi last week hindi ko clear sa legal, so we're just trying to make sure that I don't make another mistake today. So but we will publish once it's cleared.
Does it follow na wala pa po silang advisories? Kasi usually they give advisories, right?
Yes.
So may advisories na po sila.
We're checking with the documents if there's a non-disclosure or any other restrictions on the regulations that we have.
Pero sa in previous weeks, ina-announce naman po nila nung less
Tama.
adjustments.
Correct.
Ano ngayon? Anong balakid? Ba't hindi siya pwedeng i-announce? Kung paano yung staggering?
Because some companies advise us not to reveal. So, we're checking kung may standing yan. Thank you.
Radyo Philippines. Ang aming provincial station is that sa ilang mga island provinces, nagkakaroon na po ng more than 100 pesos na price sa diesel. Like sa Batanes, halimbawa, ang report is that 110 pesos na po nito yung 110 peso mark sa may ng Batanes. So, two questions on this. Una, nababantayan po ba natin yung mga pricing sa mga island provinces like Batanes, Palawan, Masbate, or even sa Negros Island region? And then pangalawa, can we assure the public na magkakaroon ng tuloy-tuloy na pagbiyahe ng petroleum products like LPG sa mga island provinces?
Yeah. The eGov PH portal is all over Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, NCR. So, kaya po yun. Pangalawa, lahat po ng Chief of Police kausap naman natin. Lahat naman ng kausap natin. Ang local chief executives naka-schedule tomorrow. Yung electric cooperatives natin naka-schedule mamaya. So, patong-patong po siya for us to have teamwork in making sure that we have sufficient supply and the operations are there available for our countrymen.
Sec, sorry, quick follow-up dun sa question ni Alvin. Yung price range for diesel is around 90 to 114. So, pero ano yung price range, yung tunay na price range? Kung halimbawa isasama natin pati yung mga nasa malalayo. yung hanggang 114, is that just Metro Manila or Luzon? Pero pag lumabas na tayo ng Metro Manila, ano yung expected na price range?
We are currently running the numbers. The price range that I have given you is on the Metro Manila and then urban areas, ma'am. So, especially those that are not independent gas stations, meaning meron kasing yung, sabi natin yung branded, halos lahat yan ng mga gas stations na para-pareho yung presyo, ano? Especially in areas na mas malapit sa Metro Manila or sa Metro Manila. So, pag dumating ka na ng, halimbawa, kanina minention yung Batanes, mas malaki yung transport cost nun, no? And some of them are independent gas stations. So, may sarili din silang computation. So, magulo nga yung pricing. Kasi hindi siya regulated industry. Hindi siya parang electricity natin na may ERC tayo nagbabantay at nagdidikta. Ito lang yung presyo na pwede nyo i-charge. It's not the same. So, kaya po, I'm really for the revisiting of the oil deregulation law because I do believe this system is only effective during good times. Kung okay yung presyo, para sa lahat, okay tayo. Okay ang pag-run ng industry. In bad times, it does not work very effectively. So this is why I think we need to revisit, not a full regulation, but we're to a certain extent, hybrid siya. Na in times like this, there has to be a certain control. Not because we want to limit kung ano man yung profit or competition that is there, but we want also to protect the interest of the public para may transparency tayo lahat. No? Because I do believe if people understand the pricing and they are confident about the pricing, then they will accept the price. Kung mahal man yan, mahal talaga siya. Kung mura, mura siya. But we need to revisit. Now, the ranges that I'm giving you, that's why we're quite hesitant kasi it was misleading last week. Because the prices, first in urban or Metro Manila, and it comes in ranges because dinadagdag lang tong adjustment. Because we base our adjustments on the increases of the MOPs. Okay, so, according to our calculation, diesel at the highest in Metro Manila would be at 114.90. Tama ba? Yes. Gasoline, although gasoline have very many variations, if you, at the highest, what we have calculated, as we gathered the prices of last week, would be at 91.60.
Okay, last two questions na po, Sec.
130 na pala.
Hi, Sec. Good afternoon po. Tristan from Newswatch. Sec, can we just get a clarification? Yung price range po ba, ito mga estimate price range is an all-time high to include previous price hikes in past Middle East conflicts, including the 90s Iraq War?
So today we set the record. We have two of the highest jumps in increase in oil or oil price hike, and we are also at the most expensive.
And sabi nyo rin po kanina, di ba meron tayong stable supply or at least sure supply until April, end of April. But of course, people might also be wondering, ano po yung worst case scenario that DOE is preparing in the event na yung nakalatag po nating mga plano ay hindi mag-workout dahil hindi natin alam gaano katagal yung gera?
We have been, from the first day pa lang, we set out our work on worst case. The exponential increase on the prices, not only the prices of fuel, but also in electricity. The possible limitation on our supply. I do believe that hindi naman tayo maubusan, but we have to manage the consumption. So we're also we're also preparing for all that because personally I do not think that will happen, but we want to be prepared and not wait for it to happen and then act on it. Kailangan may preparado na yung DOE at ang buong bansa and all agencies for whatever will happen so that it does not happen. Thank you.
Alena from Manila Standard. Ma'am, you mentioned regarding dun sa power natin, power supply, and that's you're making sure na meron tayong available and you're helping some of these plants to come online as soon as possible. But this coming summer, what are your outlook and how do you expect this Middle East crisis to impact on the power sector? Thank you.
As I said earlier, the power supply is stable. Kasi nga, we're not dependent on diesel. The impact of the Middle East on the power is on the price. So we're doing all measures, extraordinary measures to mitigate that. We're revisiting our energy mix, which ones are not affected by the oil price hike. For example, LNG is affected, so we have to control the production of energy from the generation of energy from LNG. But may malampaya tayo, which saves us from which shields us from the price impact. Diesel, although minimal, the price is exponential. Kaya alternative to fuel, alternative to diesel, we're also exploring kung anong pwedeng instead of diesel, what do we use? And also on coal, we're highly reliant on coal. So do we need more coal so that we can have, because coal, although it's not the cleanest, but it's the cheapest still. So we're trying to find the right mix for this temporary period. Kaya it's very technical solutions that we're trying to find. Even the market, an IMAP, we're talking to them, what are the interventions that we need. So together with the ERC also.
Sec, last clarification lang. Beyond April, where are you going to get supply? Kung halimbawa, you mentioned kasi kanina na China doesn't want to sell anymore, the same with Thailand, South Korea, and Japan. So beyond April, may supply ba?
Yes, ma'am. China or other countries that have banned, they allow naman. Some have exemptions to the banning. And even worst case, if they do close their doors on export, there are other suppliers. Tama ba? Go ahead, Sandy.
Just one point, no? Kasi parang puro gloom and doom. But there are also positive signals na nangyayari. Yung release sa Strategic Petroleum Reserve from the US, Japan, so this could feed into the market. Sa China naman, just to clarify, ang export ban nila is on new contracts. Okay? Dati na tayong customer sa China. So those things also feed into what will happen with regard to supply into the next month. So baka magkaroon ng loosening in crude oil supply on that.
Kaya ang supply, as long as we are on top of that, that's why I'm very confident about our supply. Ang presyo lang talaga is not controllable. And it's a question of price, really. So, just before we end lang, I would like to thank your presence here and your support to DOE. But we are doing this briefing so that the public is very well aware of what is happening. We are pushing for energy efficiency, lahat po na measures. But But all the agencies are already looking at what are the interventions that the government will do. Lahat po, iniisip na po yan. Actually, mamaya, ngayon nga, late na ako, may meeting pa nga ngayon para i-discuss ulit to kung anong interventions. Tomorrow again. And all the agencies are moving, including DSWD, all the agencies on their measures on like DTI is also talking to their logistics companies, DOH and energy savings on in their hospitals, services of the LGUs, lahat po, especially DOTR and DA, yun po nagtatrabaho sila para maagapan po na hindi po ang malaki ang impact po sa ating mga drivers and other consumers din. So, huwag po kayong mag-alala, especially for the drivers. Nandyan po, lakad na yan. And the government is really creating a new package so that we can address this unusual event right now. Thank you. Go ahead. Sige, last ka na.
Secretary, just a quick question. So we can keep importing from China? You mentioned...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We haven't, ano naman positive naman lahat na conversations namin with the different embassies, with different companies. The times are just very volatile, umiiba siya from this week to next week. But we've done contact already with many of these countries. All right.
Marami pong salamat.